Hello.
Hey there. All right, we'll try this without, can you hear me okay?
Can you see me okay?
Yeah, you're a little darker. Did you turn off the lights? Didn't pay your light bill, huh?
There shall be light. Well, I have natural light in front of me, but, it's like ungodly early to be dark, but it's dark.
Oh, no, I know.
So now I've got light.
Okay, good. All right, hello, Erik. I love you. Hello, Veronica.
Hello. Hello, says hello.
Okay, let's talk about...
Funny voice.
Let's talk about PTSD.
Yes.
So a lot of people have asked about that. Do you want to start off, Erik, by just saying anything? And we're including sexual trauma, any kind. For some people get PTSD by when they get their tonsils out. So.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
He's saying that anything, like you just said, anything can trigger that. Anything at all. Anything that's out of the ordinary. And here's his explanation for it. I want to get this right because he's talking so fast in my ear. The brain can't keep up with the feelings of what's happened. And so there's a misalignment. I feel like this light is blinding me. There's a misalignment, and it creates this dis-ease in the body. So the incident happens. We feel something, and the brain takes it in other places, and the brain and the feelings can't align, and they don't know what to do with it, and so it becomes a depressive, combative, giving up state of affairs. So he's saying, literally, the body is physiologically out of alignment.
Okay, interesting. Well,
yeah.
What goes on in the brain, the nervous system with PTSD?
Mm-hmm.
First we'll do that, and then I want to talk about the chakras. What goes on with the chakras?
Yeah, he's saying everything chemically in the brain goes off kilter. So he's using this example. If he shows us a horrifying picture of something that just is so traumatic, and and we've all had those experiences, our brain just goes haywire. The brain doesn't know what to do, and then our physical body doesn't know what to do, and perhaps we're running around and we're acting like, we use the phrase chickens with our heads cut off, because we literally are that traumatized that we don't know what to do. So he's saying the firing, imagine everything happening at once, and he's doing this. He's going all over the place. And everything happens at once, and it's like he's saying sometimes you can't even catch your breath when you're in a trauma. All of your major systems in your body become involved in the trauma. And over time, that trauma will do its wear and tear on the systems in your body.
Down to a cellular level?
Down to a cellular level. So take a Vietnam vet who goes and has seen such horrible things. Any war veteran has seen such horrible things. Forget the chemicals that they put out there. That's a whole nother discussion, he says. But the physiological, the body is going to the cell level, and now it's creating ulcers and pancreatic cancer because the cells are activated by the stress and the repression. So he's saying it's like if you blow up a balloon and you let a little bit of air out, the balloon gets smaller. That's like your body with trauma. If you let a little bit out at a time, talk therapy, spiritual therapy. He's saying if you're a recluse and you just don't want to talk to people, he's saying notebook therapy. Anything to get it out. Anything to reduce the size of the balloon. What he's saying.
What are the most common kind of conditions or diseases? Sorry. I still hear my echo, whatever. That result from PTSD.
The most common diseases, a lot of stomach stuff, stomach cancer, He's showing me colon cancer, very big colon cancer. And he's mainly focusing on the stomach area. The stomach is a very hot spot for any pent up energy or any dis-ease. But that's the primary area, the stomach area.
So that must mean it affects the solar plexus the most.
Mm-hmm. Well, the solar plexus
chakra, the solar plexus chakra, sorry.
The chakra, yeah. That's the center of self. That's the center of self-worth, of self, being. And so if you think about any trauma, it kind of knocks your legs out from underneath you. It takes away everything you thought about yourself to be true, your confidence in yourself. And so naturally, that's why it goes right to the stomach.
Well, why does it alter your sense of self?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Why would it alter your sense of self?
Because on one hand, you have this preconceived idea that, well, let's just say you're safe.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And so you're walking around in a world where you feel safe, and then let's say a trauma happens and you realize you're not safe. So your definition of safe changes, has to be rewritten, but yet it's not rewritten in the brain. And so it's a whole complex thing. He's saying if it were just a simple answer, there'd have been a cure for it years ago. But he's saying, we'll just give you a pill and we'll push you away and you'll go live on the streets and then you'll have mental illness and get guns. He's on a rampage. It's like a roll here. He's like, can you not see that everything is interconnected? That's what he wants the message to be. Everything is interconnected.
I'm sure a lot of these mass shooters suffer from PTSD of some sort.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then there's the cycle of the victims.
Yeah.
Victims suffer the PTSD. He's saying, actually, what he's saying is, there's a thing, the number one reason people miss work is due to low back pain. Oh. He's saying that's not true. The number one reason people miss work is due to PTSD. Now, think about that, because right away we go, oh, big levels of PTSD, must have been in a war, must have been raped, must have been. But he's saying no. PTSD doesn't have to be, it's all different for each one of us. Perhaps I saw a grocery store get robbed. And, and I oh my God, I can't go out in the world. And then all of a sudden, he's saying that's the real reason people miss as much work as they do.
How about this in the middle of the school or high school students? Watch that Driver's Ed, movie. The Faces of Death or something. Horrible.
Oh, yeah.
One girl in the class watched the film and she recognized her father's dead body in the film with his face off on. That was PTSD big time. So you lose your sense of self because probably, or your sense of reality, I guess, because you realize that, wow, I am not capable of figuring out the world and my feelings and my level of safety, and I'm incompetent. I'm incompetent in doing that.
He's saying, here's why. Because we have for the most part, cut the tether, cut the cord that connects us with where we came from. And we're saying, we got this. He's going, we got this. He's going, no, we don't got this. We need intervention. We need divine intervention. We need to rely on spirit guides and angels. And that's why this work by 2025, he's saying will be very mainstream work. Now, it'll progress up to it, but by 2025, we probably won't even be having these dialogues anymore because it'll be so mainstream that it'll just be the way we live.
All right, so can you describe PTSD I think you already did, on a spiritual level. It's losing your sense of self, and the chakra involved most probably is the solar plexus and maybe the root chakra, right?
Absolutely, and he's saying it depends on the level, the reason for the PTSD.
Well, yeah.
So if it were, let's just say it was rape,
Mm-hmm.
The power of the sexual area there is going to be the second chakra, and may involve the root chakra. So it's all dependent, on what the issue was that you experienced the PTSD.
And not having the courage to talk about it will probably affect your throat chakra. So, yeah.
Absolutely. He's saying here also that people in relationships, this is good. People in relationships who experience infidelity also have PTSD.
Infidelity?
Infidelity
okay.
also have PTSD.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm getting a weird kind of screen thing here. Are you?
Oh, I'm good.
Okay. Yeah, mine got weird. People who experience infidelity also have a PTSD thing going on.
Why is it that some people say they go to war, like a Vietnam vet? Some of them come back with PTSD and some don't. Or do they? Or
he said it's all in how you manage things.
Oh.
Tell me yeah, he hates to sound like a broken record, but it all has to do with the soul contract. He's laughing because he's saying that could be the answer for everything. But he's saying it's really all how you manage things.
Yeah. I'm sure some of it might be survivor guilt, huh? When you see your buddy being blown up by an IED.
Survivor guilt, yeah. Yeah. But, that creates the trauma. But he's saying what you do with things, how you manage it, even the victim mentality, the invasion, the sexual harassment kind of thing, what you do with it. What, do you push it down? Is it your nature to suppress?
Yeah.
So that has
I talk about everything to the embarrassment of my husband. But, okay, so let's talk about some of the approaches. How do we get rid of these ingrained patterns and disconnect from and release these painful, intrusive memories of past traumas? Mm-hmm. We're besides talk therapy. We talked about that. I mean, is there any way to detox and clear our bodies from the impacts of this trauma?
He's saying the more that we learn about the brain and how it stores things and what it does with things, the less we'll see PTSD. So we know he's saying this much about the brain. They say we only use 10% of our brain, and I say, are some people even using that?
Yeah.
All right, that's me being funny. But he's saying we only know this much about the brain, but as we begin to learn about the brain and the neuroplasticity and how the brain works and what we can do to reprogram the brain, even on the basic, simplest level, once these skills are taught, early on taught, because here's the thing, we don't come in with any belief. Right?
That's true.
You just had a beautiful granddaughter.
Mm-hmm.
She ain't got no belief in the world. All she knows is I'm hungry and somebody better put a titty in my mouth or whatever mommy's doing. That's all she knows.
Yeah.
Until she's about 7 or 8, and then she goes somewhere and somebody teaches her something and she picks it up. And then she becomes about 13 and the frontal lobe starts to develop, Yeah. So if we can get it early on and ingrain beliefs that are positive experiences, we can begin to give coping skills at a deep level. See, the soul knows all this. Mm-hmm. The soul knows all this, but, how do we get it to be mainstream? That's what Erik is working on.
Well, let's talk about things like there's EMDR. I had a lot of PTSD just by finding your body, Erik. That's what you did to it. It was horrible. And EMDR, where they do certain things while you move your eyes back and forth, etc. And also emotional EFT, emotional freedom.
Emotional,
technology or something.
Emotional freedom technique.
Okay.
Tapping.
How do you believe that works?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Erik is saying absolutely, because you're interrupting the flow when you're tapping in the right spots. you're interrupting the flow, the energy flow, or you're breaking up clusters of flow. He's showing me all over his body. There's tapping areas all over the body that correlate to different chakras and to different things that have different traumas in our lives. And he's saying different organs feed different things. We can tap those into health. He's saying tapping is the most underutilized technique that we have.
And you can teach it to yourself.
And it's all like Chinese medicine.
There's this guy.
Yes. You can do it to yourself.
And I cannot remember this guy's name, but he has all these very simple techniques on EFT. I think he wears a red shirt and the whole background is white. And he's adorable. I just want to pinch his little cheeks. He has black hair. I think it's a little tiny mohawk kind of look. I'm not sure. But I think he has one for PTSD. He has it for migraines. He has it for all sorts of stuff. So check him out. I'll try to remember to put the link, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, I don't know who he is.
Yeah, it's adorable. But anyway, you can look on YouTube and find all sorts of things. Is there a spiritual contract or anything like that behind those who get PTSD? Is it to learn something or teach something?
He's actually saying, it's coping skills. People want to come in with coping skills because what happens if what you deem traumatic in this life really is nothing compared to the next life you're going into? So it's all relative to, you're learning it in bits and pieces. So if you're gearing up for the next life, and we always are, you want to get little bits and pieces of it now, learn these, because your soul takes it with you. And here's the thing, the soul learns the best when it's put into physical reality, into physical action. The soul is genius, but until it physically plays out and hits the matter of something else, it's hard to learn the lesson.
Yeah, it's like taking an organic chemistry class. It's really better if you also take the lab, physical lab.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
Okay, well, maybe some people develop PTSD for certain things because they had something similar happen to them in another life, like they were stabbed, or whatever. If that's the case, would past life regression help some of these cases?
Yes, past life regression, and Erik is telling me, and Erik's been pushing me down this path, and I'm actually learning it, soul retrieval. Every time we're imposed upon, every time that we get invaded, every time we have a trauma, we lose a piece of our soul. And so we have to go back and retrieve it through, maybe you can do that through regular therapy, but there are soul retrieval therapists out there that actually help you bring back the piece of your soul that's lost.
Wow.
So he's just revealing all this to me.
Wow, you actually physically lose a piece of your soul? Can you run out? All of a sudden, it's just one little piece left. That's so
and a little bitty piece matters a whole lot.
Yeah.
So it can affect and impact a whole life.
Yeah. Wow. All right, let's see what other questions I have here for this. Okay, there's virtual reality headsets or the new things like this. Well, up and coming therapies on the horizon that you know about. Anything in the future for PTSD?
You broke up, so I'm not sure what you said.
Are there any up and coming therapies?
Up and coming therapies?
Or therapies in the future that might help?
Right. No, yes, but no. The answer is to go back. Now, let me explain what he means. We want to keep moving forward with modern science, with understanding of all of this soul stuff, but go back, and he's talking about back to the Native American, back to the earth, back to naturalness.
Smoke a little peyote.
There you go.
Ayahuasca.
There you go. That's exactly what he's saying. Go back to the earth. And he's saying, number one, the body was built to do what it needs to do. Think about it. Think about how your granddaughter grew 9 months perfectly without any kind of anything other than the umbilical cord, right? So we have all of this inside of us, but we get this pollution, all of this shit, he's saying, that comes at us from the outside world. And our coping skills are just crushed down. We don't know how to cope. So we need more therapy. We need more pills. We need more drink. We need more shopping. Whatever our addiction becomes, we need it to cope. But in fact, he's saying, go back to the naturalist. Go back to the land.
Okay.
Put your feet in the water.
Oh, okay. Hug a
Use
tree.
elements.
Go fishing.
Yeah.
Use the elements.
He's saying, how do you be stressed out, ready to kill somebody when you're sitting around a campfire?
Oh, no. Eating s'mores.
Eating your s'mores, absolutely. So he's saying, think natural. Now, obviously, if you have trauma, you know, he's all about the psychotherapist, but Erik is really an advocate for spiritual counseling, holistic spiritual counseling.
Yeah. Awesome. Like a spiritual life coach.
Yeah, anything to do with the nurturing of the soul, bringing out of the soul. He said a lot of stuff can be cut off, so to speak, if the personality and the soul could align.
Okay, interesting. Are there any herbs or essential oils that would help? Or any other natural things?
He's saying essential oils, obviously, but the number one thing, and Erik has taught me this, I mean, and I'm doing it more than I ever did, get out in the sunlight.
Oh.
Get out in the nature. Go outside. Move your body. Yeah. Take a walk. You know, he's saying. Now, for some people, that's not going to be enough. But like he's like, hell, you got to start somewhere.
That's true. Here's one from somebody. I want to know if patients who are experiencing PTSD flashbacks, which are far more intense and real than memories, are actually timeline tripping. In other words, are they actually in the moment in which the original trauma occurred? I never thought about that.
Yeah, Erik is saying yes, the brain, here's the thing, the brain can't differentiate from an image and a reality. If it sees it, it's real.
Okay.
Yeah. Interesting.
That is interesting. What about people who have had sexual trauma? She asked, or he, how can we reinvigorate the second chakra and the reproductive organs associated with it? Sometimes people who have suffered sexual violence have blockages there that can disrupt their energy in that area and create problems. Mm-hmm. So what can we do about that?
We want to work on the throat chakra.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Work on the throat chakra. Work on the crown chakra. So the crown chakra might, is spiritual development, spiritual practice, again, spiritual counseling. The throat chakra is expression, getting out what you feel. And also just, getting a sense of self back. So working on the solar plexus.
Okay. So by expressing, it doesn't have to be verbal. It can be the notebook. Journaling, thoughts and ideas and feelings.
Yeah. Notebook therapy.
Notebook therapy. All right,
notebook
I like
therapy.
That. Often, depending on the kind of trauma we've suffered from, it can be difficult to trust people or relationships. What can help us develop and maintain safe interpersonal relationships after we've suffered trauma, especially complex trauma?
The number one thing is boundaries.
Setting boundaries, okay.
Boundaries. And you can only set strong boundaries when you feel confident and you know what's appropriate for you. Yeah. And so if somebody's compromised you in any way, shape, or form, you're too weak to understand that you have a right to put a boundary up. So in that case, the psychotherapy is helpful.
Yeah.
In the beginning, get the psychotherapy to create the boundaries.
Yeah, and you have to have the strength to be emotionally honest in order to set boundaries. And sometimes setting boundaries not only for other people, but also setting boundaries for yourself. So that means you have to be emotionally honest with yourself too.
Oh, absolutely. And Erik is saying the golden rule is really good for others. Don't do unto others as you've had done to you. Just kind of treat people the way you want to be treated and set boundaries around the way you would treat people.
Okay. Quick yes or no. Are there clear differences between PTSD and suffering from long-term stress?
He says he'd like to give you a quick yes or no, but it's not that simple to give you a quick yes or no. It is on some level similar, but it's different because the way that the PTSD is inflicted is different than the stress is inflicted, and sometimes it can have a heightened level of effect on the whole body. So in other words, I can get stressed out because I broke a nail.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest, right? I mean, I wouldn't, but I could.
I wouldn't either. My nails are terrible. But.
And somebody that's going to go to war has PTSD, so it's kind of like, it's no, okay. It's not the same.
All right.
Yeah.
Just quick, two more. Can chronic PTSD, I think we brushed on this a little bit, cause brain abnormalities such as cognitive impairment, like brain damage?
Oh, he's saying not brain damage per se.
So it doesn't affect the neurons themselves, damage the neurons or the nerve fibers, or?
He's saying it's too complicated, more complicated than that, because it's more about the imprint that it leaves on the brain, which I guess could be the I don't know, you're the doctor, but he's saying it's more complicated than just that. So it's kind of like a movie playing he's showing over and over and over, and it's like Groundhog Day, the same thing over and over, and you're seeing it and it's wearing on you. So I guess it can alter the brain that way, but he's saying not in a physiological way.
I know that they've done MRIs on people, prisoners of war, who have been tortured, and I think there's atrophy, maybe holes in the brain. I can't remember what the findings were, but I think in that case there can be structural damage. Okay, last one. What is the best way for a male with very poor coping skills who is drawn to alcohol to deal with PTSD and to learn gratitude?
Ooh.
Or anybody, not just a male.
That's a big question. His first answer is, you've got to treat the symptoms. So get your ducks in a row. Go to AA. Figure out, get one thing at a time, because sometimes it can be traumatic to look at the big picture. Oh my God, I feel depressed, I drink too much, I don't make enough money, and then everything just snowballs. So Erik is saying individualize each thing.
Yeah, I mean, they've already talked about EMDR, EFT, talk therapy.
Talk therapy.
Yourself, hugging a tree, going fishing, put your feet in the water. So that's, I think, the answer for that. And then that'll help. All right, great. Thank you, Erik. Thank you, Veronica.
Bye, Mama. Bye-bye. Take care.
Check out Veronica at www.veronicadrake.com.